know, Sophia.
Okay, real talk. Prime Video has been out here quietly adding some absolute bangers and nobody is talking about it. I went digging so you don't have to, and I found 10 thrillers that range from deeply unsettling to full-on nightmare fuel. Some of these you've heard of, most of them you haven't, and that's exactly why we're here. Before we jump in, the availability for other streaming platforms is pinned in the first comment below, so check that out. And if you're someone who runs out of good movies every weekend, which same, stick around, because this list is going to absolutely solve your problem for you. No filler, no obvious blockbusters, just 10 movies that will actually mess with your head. Let's go.
I killed someone.
Look at that! Friends already.
Okay, so you're watching a movie. The main character is objectively a terrible person, like genuinely morally bankrupt in almost every direction. And yet, you are on the edge of your seat rooting for him. You want him to get away with it. You're basically an accomplice at this point, sitting on your couch in your pajamas, invested in helping a rich fraud escape justice. That is the kind of psychological trap this movie lays for you, and it does it effortlessly. The tension doesn't come from car chases or shootouts. It comes from watching a man of extreme privilege try to keep all his lies stacked on top of each other without the whole tower falling. And the cast? Immaculate.
Yeah.
There's a Detective Breyer here to see you.
We haven't located the driver.
The performances sell every single beat. You've got someone playing a detective who is just relentless, and every scene they share feels like a chess match where both players think they're winning. This is the kind of film that feels like it was written by someone who genuinely despises Wall Street but also understands it perfectly. It's sharp, it's suspenseful, and it's one of those movies that'll have you arguing with your friends about the ending. I loved it, you're gonna love it. The movie is called ARBITRAGE. Alright, I need you to stay with me on this one because on paper it sounds like homework, but I promise it is absolutely not homework. It's Shakespeare, but make it a war movie with AK-47s and tattoos and Gerard Butler. If that sentence didn't get you, I don't know what will. This is one of those adaptations that takes a centuries-old story and drops it into a gritty, modern war zone setting, and somehow it works. The political backstabbing, the ego, the betrayal, the absolutely savage mother-son dynamic at the center of it all, this stuff translates perfectly to a modern military context, because honestly, power and politics haven't changed that much since ancient Rome.
Me, traitor.
The lead performance here is ferocious, like genuinely intense in a way that makes you uncomfortable in the best possible way. There's a controlled rage to this character that just radiates off the screen. Now, fair warning, there is Shakespeare dialogue in here, it's not dumbed down. But the action sequences are brutal and real, and they carry the weight between the longer speeches. If you're a fan of political thrillers or war films with actual substance behind a carnage, this one is gonna hit different. It's raw, it's ambitious, and it's way more entertaining than your high school English class made Shakespeare sound. The movie is called CORIOLANUS. Okay, so this one is not for the faint of heart. Like, I need to say that up front. This is a Chilean film, and it is deeply uncomfortable, and it is supposed to be. What the director does here is take an institution, a very specific, very real kind of institution, and holds a magnifying glass over the rot inside it without flinching, not even a little. There are no heroes in this movie, nobody gets a redemption arc that feels earned, and that's exactly the point. The setting is this deceptively quiet beachside house that on the surface looks almost peaceful, and then the film just slowly, methodically peels that back until you're sitting there feeling genuinely disturbed by how mundane evil can appear. The performances are incredible, especially the antagonists, who feel horrifyingly real because they're played with zero melodrama. These aren't mustache-twirling villains, they're institutional, and that's what makes it so chilling. Lorraine is a filmmaker who genuinely does not let you look away, and this film is proof of that. It won the Silver Bear at Berlin for a reason. It's the kind of movie that stays with you, not because it's flashy, but because it feels uncomfortably close to the truth. The movie is called The Club.
Hello?
Congratulations. You have been selected to take part in a one-of-a-kind game show.
Now, this is a movie that grabs you by the collar in the first 10 minutes and just does not let go. You've got a guy, a regular, relatable, financially destroyed guy, and a phone call that changes everything. The premise sounds simple and almost gimmicky at first, but the execution is what elevates this thing. Each challenge escalates in ways that are genuinely surprising, and the film does something really clever. It makes you laugh, then immediately makes you question why you laughed. There's a dark humor running through this that feels earned rather than cheap, and the lead performance is the glue holding all of it together. This is an everyman character done right, someone you'd actually believe would make these choices under this pressure, not some superhero type.
So there's another player? You just changed the rules!
It's a remake of a Thai film, and for once, the American remake actually stands on its own as a compelling piece of work. The social commentary underneath the chaos, financial anxiety, the desperation of ordinary people gives it real teeth. It's the kind of movie where you're 100% certain you would not do what he does, and then 10 minutes later you're like, okay, maybe I would. Ron Perlman shows up and is fantastic. The whole thing just works. The movie is called 13 Cents. Okay, so this one is a wild ride, and I mean that in the most chaotic way possible. This is a horror comedy stalker thriller situation, and it is absolutely aware of how unhinged it is. The tone is all over the place, and honestly, that's both its biggest strength and its most divisive quality. You'll go from genuinely creeped out to laughing to confused to impressed within the span of like 4 minutes. The lead villain performance here is delightfully unhinged, like someone who read every celebrity stalker case study and then cranked it up to 11 with a side of puppy tragic energy. It's unsettling and hilarious and somehow pathetic all at once.
That is such bad luck, Sophia!
The female lead gets some genuinely great final girl moments in the back half that make the whole chaotic journey worth it. And there's a forced Celine Dion duet in this movie that is one of the most unexpected things I've seen in a thriller this year. I don't want to explain it, just trust me. It's a debut film. It's messy, but it has real personality and real style. And honestly, messy but fun beats polished but boring any day of the week. The movie is called Borderline. Real quick, if you're enjoying this list and you're the type of person who actually watches the movies you get recommended instead of just saving them and forgetting about them forever like the rest of us, hit subscribe. I drop 2 or 3 of these videos every week so you never run out of good stuff to watch. Smash that like button too. It genuinely helps the channel more than you'd think. Okay, back to the list. We're halfway through and it only gets better from here.
BP is spiking.
Is your wife too soon?
This one hits different. I'm not going to pretend it doesn't. It's a survival thriller set against Hurricane Katrina, and the entire weight of the film rests on one performance. One actor in a deteriorating hospital carrying a movie almost completely alone. And he delivers. The premise sounds simple, but the tension is relentless. You've got a ticking clock, a helpless infant, no power, no backup, and the storm that does not care. What makes this film work is that the emotional stakes are established before anything goes wrong, so when the crisis hits, you feel it personally. It's not just survival instinct driving the story, it's grief, love, and the kind of raw determination that doesn't feel scripted. It feels human.
3 minutes. Don't do this to me.
There are moments in this film that are genuinely tender in the middle of complete chaos, and the contrast between those moments and the mounting danger is what makes it so devastating. It's not a perfect movie. The opening has a slow burn that some people won't have patience for, but if you give it the runway, it rewards you. It's one of those performances that stays with you long after the credits roll. The movie is called Ours.
He knows what he's talking about?
Yeah, he's trained by the best, the United States Marine Corps.
Okay, so this is one of the lists for people who like their thrillers to feel like a slow pressure building behind your eyes instead of a jump scare. Kelly Reichardt makes films that operate on a completely different frequency than mainstream cinema, and this one is no exception. It's an eco-thriller. 3 people, a plan, a dam, and the movie is far less interested in the action itself than in the psychological weight of what these characters are carrying before, during, and after. Jesse Eisenberg plays a character with a barely contained intensity that's somehow more threatening for how quiet it is. Dakota Fanning is fantastic. The first half of this film is meticulous in the best way, like watching someone build a bomb in slow motion.
What are you gonna do?
What do you mean?
I mean, are you going to do anything?
The second half is where it really gets under your skin because the fallout is messier and more human than you expect. This is not a thriller that's going to hand you everything. It respects your intelligence enough to leave things unspoken, and it trusts you to feel the dread without spelling it out. The ending is ambiguous, and some people are going to hate that. Those people are wrong. The movie is called Night Moves. This one is criminally underrated, and I will absolutely die on that hill. It's a neo-noir mystery, but the thing that makes it stand out is the protagonist, a garbage man on the autism spectrum who notices something everyone else missed about a kid's death in his small, dying Pennsylvania town. And before you think you know what this movie is, let me tell you, it's as much about the place as it is about the mystery. This town is a character. The quiet economic despair, the sense of people trapped in a life they didn't choose, the way the community closes around secrets, all of that gives the film real texture. The lead performance is genuinely excellent. There's a specificity and a dignity to how this character is written and played that you don't often see.
You cop too? Investigator. Yeah. Do you have any medical condition?
It never feels exploitative or showy, it just feels real. The biblical thread woven through the film adds this unsettling undercurrents that builds without ever being heavy-handed. Is the mystery perfect? No. There are moments where the plot makes things a little too convenient. But the feeling of this film, the atmosphere, the performances, the small town claustrophobia, more than makes up for it. Give it a chance. The movie's called A Dark Place.
Dad?
What are you doing?
I just thought I heard something upstairs.
Alright, this one is a pure experience movie. You're not watching it for a sophisticated narrative, you are watching it to be terrified in a dark room. Elizabeth Olsen, before she was fighting Thanos or doing anything else, is just completely on her own in this deteriorating summer house, and the camera barely leaves her face for the entire runtime. That's the whole gimmick, and somehow it works better than it should. The tension is almost suffocating because the film leans entirely into the physical, the auditory, every creak, every shadow, every door that shouldn't be open. The claimed single-take format gives it this invasive documentary feeling that gets under your skin even when the plot logic starts to wobble. And it does wobble. The explanation the film eventually offers is the weakest part of the whole thing, and if you go in expecting a tight mystery, you'll be disappointed. But as a pure dread delivery system, as a showcase for a performer who is absolutely fearless in front of a camera, it's worth your time. Watch it at night, ideally alone, and do not be surprised if you end up yelling at your screen. The movie is called Silent House.
Tonight, we are going to play 31.
And we close out this list with something that is going to polarize people, and I genuinely do not care, because I think it's one of the most interesting entries on here. Rob Zombie is a filmmaker who is not for everybody. His aesthetic is grimy and abrasive and deliberately ugly, and this movie is all of that cranked to the absolute maximum. But underneath the chaos of murderous clowns and aristocrats betting on carnage, there's a political pulse to this film that gives it way more substance than the premise suggests. It's essentially asking you, who are the real monsters? The unhinged killers or the wealthy spectators treating human survival as entertainment? That's not a subtle question, but Zombie doesn't do subtle, and honestly, in this context, subtlety would be the wrong choice.
Say we hunt these freaks down and slit their throats.
The carnies at the center of the story are scrappy and flawed and genuinely human in a way that makes you care about their survival even as everything around them descends into absolute bedlam. It's excessive, it's violent, it is very much a Rob Zombie film. But if you lean into it instead of against it, there's something almost exhilarating about how completely committed it is to its own anarchic vision. The movie is called 31.
And that is your list. 10 thrillers, all on Prime, all worth your Friday night. And before you go, if psychological thrillers are your thing, I have got a video that is going to absolutely wreck you. 10 Netflix psychological thrillers that will genuinely mess with your head. Most of them hidden gems, none of them obvious picks, all of them delivering. The kind of movies that get under your skin and stay there. Go watch that one next, links on screen right now. And as always, keep watching good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.